The wind screamed across the surface of the lake. Waves rose like dark mountains under a moonless sky. And in the middle of the storm, 12 men clung to a wooden boat, fighting to stay alive. But then, something impossible appeared on the water. A shadow, a figure, a presence walking toward them on the waves themselves. Fear crushed their breath. Some thought it was a spirit. Others covered their heads, certain the end had come. But one man squinted through the mist and felt something familiar in the impossible. And that single moment would change his life forever. This is the story of the night Peter walked on water, and why he started sinking, and why you and I still sink today. Stay with me. The air hung heavy with the heat of the day as evening settled over Galilee. Jesus had just finished feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish, a miracle so great that the crowd tried to make him king. But Jesus was not here to wear a crown of gold, so he sent the disciples ahead across the lake, telling them he would meet them on the other side. He climbed a mountain alone to pray. Down below, the disciples pushed their boat into the water. Peter grabbed the edges, guiding it forward with the strength of a fisherman who knew this lake better than his own heartbeat. The water shimmered with the colors of sunset. The air smelled like damp wood and salt. But the peace did not last long. Winds began to rise. Clouds swallowed the final trace of sunlight, and the calm lake turned violent. Waves hammered the sides of the boat. Spray stung their faces. Every gust of wind pulled them further from shore. Hours passed. Night deepened, and the storm grew worse. This wasn't just weather, it felt like a spiritual battle swirling all around them. Peter gripped the ropes, his arms trembling. He had survived countless storms before, but something about this one felt different. It felt personal. The men fought the waves with everything they had, but their strength was nothing compared to the storm. And then through the chaos someone saw it, a shape, standing upright on the water. Moving closer, the disciples cried out in terror. No one walks on water. No one survives waves like these. No one approaches in the middle of a storm except something not human. Fear spread like fire through the boat. But then, a voice rose above the wind. Clear, strong, steady. Take courage. It is, I do not be afraid. Their fear turned into shock. Their shock into awe. Because that voice, they knew that voice. It was Jesus. Walking on the water as if the storm were beneath him. As if chaos obeyed his feet. The disciples froze, unable to process what their eyes were telling them. But Peter wasn't frozen. Something in him leaped awake, a wild faith, a boldness, a fire that refused to stay quiet. If it's really you, Peter shouted over the waves. Tell me to come to you on the water. Silence fell. Even the storm seemed to pause. Jesus looked at Peter, and with one word, opened a door to the impossible. Come. Peter's heart pounded, his breath shook. This was not a moment for logic. This was a moment for faith. He grabbed the side of the boat. The wood felt cold under his fingers. The sea roared beneath him. Every reason to stay safe screamed in his mind. But something stronger pulled him forward. He lifted one leg, then the other, and stepped out into the impossible. The water held him, as firm as solid ground. The storm didn't stop, the winds didn't calm. But somehow, Peter stood. Then he took a step, and another, and another. The waves rose around him. Lightning cracked behind him. The impossible wrapped itself around his feet. Peter was walking on water, walking toward Jesus. And for a moment, fear had no voice. For a moment, faith drowned every doubt. For a moment, a simple fisherman did what only God could do. But something was about to change. Something subtle, something deadly. A shift in Peter's eyes. A tremble in his heart. A thought he didn't recognize. Until it was too late. And that's where everything started to fall apart. The wind snapped across Peter's face. A wave rose beside him, tall enough to swallow him whole. And for the first time, he looked away from Jesus. Just for a second, just long enough for fear to return. The water suddenly felt thinner under his feet. His confidence cracked like a fragile shell. His heartbeat pounded louder than the storm itself. What am I doing? What if I fall? What if this isn't real? Doubt whispered, it's poison. And Peter listened. He sank. Slowly at first, like the water was tugging at his ankles. Then faster, the sea opened beneath him and pulled him downward. Cold water rushed up to his chest. His arms thrashed in panic. The storm swallowed his breath. He was drowning. A moment ago, he walked on the impossible. Now he couldn't stay above the surface. His voice cracked through the darkness. Lord, save me. And instantly, not eventually, not after hesitation, immediately, a hand broke through the storm. Strong, steady. Sure, Jesus caught him. Not when Peter had regained control. Not when he deserved it. Not when he proved his faith. But in the exact moment he started to sink, Jesus pulled him up from the waves. Water dripped from Peter's face. His hands shook. His heart raced, and Jesus looked at him with a mixture of love and gentle challenge. Why did you doubt? He wasn't scolding him. He wasn't shaming him. He was inviting Peter to see something deeper, something hidden beneath the storm. Because Peter didn't sink when the storm got stronger. He sank when his focus shifted. He sank when he forgot who stood in front of him. He sank when he trusted the wind more than the one who created it. And isn't that how we sink too? One moment we believe, the next, we get distracted. One moment our faith is strong, the next, fear whispers, "This is too big for you." And our eyes drift, just like Peter's. But Jesus never drifted. He never let go. He never stepped away. He held Peter until both of them were safely back in the boat. As soon as Jesus stepped inside, the wind stopped. The waves fell silent. The storm bowed at his feet. The disciples stared in awe. Some dropped to their knees. Some covered their mouths. Some whispered with trembling voices, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Their fear turned to worship. Their panic turned to peace. Their storm turned into a revelation. And somewhere in that boat, Peter sat soaking wet. Not ashamed, not humiliated, but transformed. He was the only one who ever stepped out of the boat. The only one who ever walked on the water with Jesus. The only one who ever felt the impossible beneath his feet. Even for a moment, he learned something that night, a truth that still echoes through every life today. Faith isn't the absence of storms. Faith is walking toward Jesus in the storm. And sometimes, faith is simply shouting, "Lord, save me," when you start to sink, because he always reaches faster than we fall. Hold on, because the story is not done. Peter's moment on the water wasn't a failure. It was a rehearsal, a preparation, a doorway to something even bigger. Because one day, this same Peter, the same man who doubted, would stand before crowds, face persecution, speak with courage, and walk in a faith no storm could destroy. But it all began, out there, on a dark lake, with a shaking hand reaching for Jesus. And what Jesus did for Peter in that moment, he still does for us. Stay with me, we are about to step into the emotional, miraculous climax. The reason this story still reaches into every heart today. Imagine the boat, now silent, rain dripping from the edges, the lake finally calm. Almost to calm, Peter sits there, soaked and shivering. But something in his eyes is different, something alive, something awakened. He had walked where no human had walked before, and even though he sank, he learned the truth hidden deep inside the storm. Storms do not expose your weakness, they reveal your focus. They show you where your eyes really are, on the problem, or on the one who walks above it. Peter understood something he never forgot. As long as his eyes stayed on Jesus, the storm had no power. But the moment he looked at the waves became louder than God. And this is where the miracle of the story becomes personal. Because storms come to all of us. Some crash suddenly. Some build slowly. Some roar like thunder. Some whisper like doubt. Storms of fear. Storms of loss. Storms of waiting. Storms of failure. Storms that make you question everything you thought you knew. But the miracle is not only that Jesus walks on water. The miracle is that he walks toward you. Even when you're terrified. Even when you're sinking. Even when you're losing your grip on hope. He comes closer. He reaches first. He holds you up when your faith isn't enough. And something powerful happens when Jesus pulls you from the waves. Not only does the storm calm, your heart changes, your perspective changes, your future changes. Because when you felt his hand lift you in your darkest moment, you walk differently afterward. You pray differently. You trust differently. You see storms not as threats, but as places where Jesus shows his strength. And Peter, the same Peter who doubted, became the Peter who preached with fire. The Peter who healed the sick. The Peter who stood fearless before rulers. The Peter who walked into impossible moments again and again. Not because he was perfect, not because he never failed, but because he had learned who to look at when the world is shaking. And that is the heart of the story. Not that Peter walked on water, but that Jesus held him when he couldn't. You may feel like you're sinking today. You may feel like the waves are too high, the storm too loud, the night too long. But listen closely. Faith is not the absence of sinking. Faith is the cry that reaches through the storm. "Lord, save me." And he does. Every time. Sometimes through miracles. Sometimes through people he sends into your life. Sometimes through peace no one else understands. Sometimes through strength you didn't know you had. But always, always he reaches. So if you're watching this and you feel overwhelmed, lift your eyes. Look back at the one who never stopped walking toward you. Even when you turned your eyes away. Even when you doubted. Even when you fell. Jesus doesn't love you because you stay above the water. He loves you even when you sink. And he rescues you. Not because you're strong, but because he is. Take a moment. Breathe. Let that truth settle deep into your heart. Storms don't scare him. They never have. And you don't face them alone. Now imagine this with me. What if Peter had never stepped out of the boat? What if fear had kept him sitting with the others? He would have stayed dry. He would have stayed safe. But he would have missed the miracle. Some of the greatest moments of your life will come after the decision to step out. To trust more deeply. To follow the voice calling you forward. To believe that Jesus is already standing in the place you're afraid to walk. Your miracle might be waiting on the other side of a single step, a step that feels too scary, too risky, too impossible. But faith grows with motion. Faith strengthens when you move toward the impossible. And when you take that step, you'll feel the same thing Peter felt, a God who holds you up when everything says you should fall. So here's the lesson, spoken softly but with fire behind it. Keep your eyes on Jesus, not on the waves, not on the wind, not on the fear, not on the storm, because storms come and go, but He remains. And when the storm ends, when the waters calm, you won't be the same person who stepped out. You'll be stronger, wiser, more grounded, more alive, more aware that God is closer than you ever realized. So walk, even if your legs shake, even if your faith trembles, even if doubt whispers in the dark. Walk, because He is there, calling you forward, reaching for you, ready to lift you the moment you slip. And when your story is told, people won't talk about the storm you faced. They'll talk about the Savior who pulled you from it. Keep that truth close. Carry it into your next day, your next step, your next storm. And now, before this moment fades, I invite you to stay connected. If this story stirred something inside you, if it reminded you of hope you thought you lost, if it helped you breathe a little deeper tonight, consider subscribing. It helps these stories reach more hearts around the world, and you never know who might need the next one. Share this with someone you care about, someone walking through their own storm, someone who needs to hear that sinking isn't the end of the story, because miracles still happen, faith still rises, and Jesus is still reaching across the waves. Until next time, keep walking, keep trusting, keep your eyes on Him.